Too big. You guys, I've been waiting to do this with you. First of all, Keith and Jess and I have done this more than once, twice, I think.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, when we started, I saw this at Sundance, and I was like, what? I didn't know what I was going into. And it changed a lot. It's 10 years old now. And this is a kind of a feral audience. How did that happen? I mean, it's a good thing. Dan watched it with us.
Amazing audience. I don't know, I've seen this film for 10 years, and I remember that screening in Sundance, and you guys were every bit as wild as that audience. It's so great. Watching this to the crowd, it's really, really special. Thank you all for coming out. Thanks for that.
But lucky, my brain is so dry out, I can't remember what we talked about last time. That so it'll be fresh for me. All new for me. But it's the first time we've had you here, so let's start there. Yes, you can move. As far as I know, this was like really this movie was going to happen starring Dan Stevens, or like Dan Stevens was the choice.
Yeah, Dan Stevens was the choice. Yeah, he was the choice.
So will you tell us how you went from that show to then end up doing this?
Yeah. I never dreamed I'd get to do anything like this. And I got sent the script, and I thought it was a joke. I thought it was just really mad. I thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever read. And I have to meet Adam. I've got to meet this guy. I've got to get this. And I sat with him, and I just told him how fucking funny I found it. He said, "You're the only person who's found this script funny." I think it's funny too. Actually, a friend of a friend broke up with their boyfriend in this movie because they were watching it together and they couldn't. He thought it was deadly serious. She was laughing her ass off. So it was the beginning of the end. So it needed to happen, but I think this film is deeply funny, and it's especially funny because I'm in it. Like, seriously, like the casting of me at that time was so batshit. Anyone who knows me or knew me at the time, it's like, it's hilarious, you know, and there is such a sense of humour to it, and I love watching it again. It's such a great film. There's incredible performances in there. Amazing seeing Lance Reddick again. It's just great seeing the crowd. It's like, I don't take it for granted that it's not every film we make that people still want to watch 10 years on and laugh their asses off like this. So thank you.
So you guys know everything from the very beginning. Our friend Simon Barrett and Anne Wingard are not here. They've done Jimmy's as a support. They'll come out. We'll just do it like every year. We'll do it. So they're here in spirit. But when you talk about like what was it that occurred to Adam and Simon and you guys to cast in?
To cast in. Well, I think that we
were told that Dan Stevens was looking to do something weird.
something weird. There was an agency-wide suggestion that Dan Stevens was looking to do something weird. Like, well, we have a weird thing.
It was perfect weird. It was, it's like a sort of a satire of the military-industrial complex with a kind of what, in my mind, and I don't know if I've ever really told anyone this, was a gay love story. It's a queer love story that like David and Caleb, whether his real name's David, we don't know, but like he had genuine love for Caleb and came back to help his family and was there genuinely to do a good turn. But then his programming, once the programmer found out he was out, getting his programming overrides everything and it goes fucking nuts. But that's, you know, the tipping point for me was this sort of this love story underneath this batshit movie. I thought it was so sweet, weird, funny. And there is like such a kind of, there's such a queer story kind of running through, like his support for Brendan's character Luke, and you know, the scene with the bullies, like so many people in the last 10 years come up and tell me how much that beating up bully scene means to them. And also confronting the headmaster disaster. Like they're two like total fantasy scenes that like so many millions of people had. And it's so beautifully executed. It's such a sweet kind of, you know, it's the beginning of the roller coaster when he goes to that bar. It's like it's choice.
And the family, like Leland and Sheila and the kids, like Micah, this is really early in Micah's career.
Micah's second role ever as a first lead role. Yeah.
And they, to me, as the mother of two teenagers, they feel like a real family. Leland is especially just like, but it starts out so sad. I mean, I remember I worked for a certain awards show and became deeply impassioned that year about making sure that this movie was recognized during that awards show process. I think we got it editing. I know, I was like, fuck you guys. You should be all in the actor category. But I remember saying to this group, like, this movie starts and does not stop from the minute you see your shoes running on the road. But it does start really sad, and then just the look on her face that you're 30 seconds deep and you know exactly what happened in that house. So, and I get the impression that you guys really sort of became, I mean, your tangential family, but you know that really felt familial. Do you guys want to talk about a little bit about how you formed that group?
Yeah, I think we can talk about it a bit. Like, I think that there's a type of small movie where you can kind of go to a town that doesn't ever make movies, and you all sort of stay in the same hotel together, and our production office was literally the high school, and our set was literally the high school gym, and it's like you can build a kind of summer camp atmosphere that kind of becomes a community in a way, and I think that it's hard to do that when the budgets get really big, and it's hard to do that when the budgets are way too small, but there's this kind of sweet spot that this movie fell into where you can if you cast people that are pleasant to work with and all like each other, you can kind of build I don't know, I feel like we're all, still close. It's pretty funny, guys.
Yeah.
Lily was texting me like earlier today, and we were,
Oh, we should have told him to come up.
I think just,
She's in New York.
yeah.
She wants to be here, obviously.
Yeah, like it really is like, I don't know, some movies just happen that way. You end up kind of forming these tight bonds that last for years. So,
Yeah. And the great Lance Reddick. How did you get Lance? Because Lance is like.
So Lance, we all it was a dream really to cast Lance in that role from I think when we all first read it, and we didn't think we'd ever get him, and we reached out to him, and he said yes, and we were shocked, and then he showed up, and he's like, is James Stevens here? Yeah, he's like, I want to watch Downton Abbey. And Lance was like a mega fan of Downton Abbey, and he just wanted to keep in and come hang out and go down. Yeah.
The really sweet thing about Lance is that, whenever I see him on screen, he comes across like larger than life kind of figure, but he was so sweet and sensitive, and I remember one of the things that he was the most sensitive about was his costumes on the show, and he very much was like worried about wearing like all black, obviously because we were also shooting in New Mexico, it was very hot. But I remember thinking that it was really sweet because the way he wrapped his head around it is that at one point his wife just came up to him and said, "Oh honey, you look so fucking hot." He was like, "I do." That's just so sweet. I think he looks amazing.
I think that's to go to the family thing. The other thing that happens specifically on this film is that so many of the cast brought their kids and their family out because we were shooting over the summer, and it became the Leland's son was there, like you were there with your family, and the Sheila's kid and husband came out. Like, it was really a pretty welcoming family environment for a weird movie.
My son was a baby at the time. I remember taking him to the bar where I beat up the any other time of the day is a trucker's strip club.
Strip club.
So I took my baby son to a trucker's strip bar.
I will say, like, again, 10 years ago, and I think one of the reasons why I walked out and it was like, this changes things, is that for all this bullshit about the female gaze over the last 20 years is like you guys think that's hot, I don't think that's hot. And then the guest comes out, and so I don't even know if I have a question. It's like, and truthfully, the female gaze is so important. Seeing that scene is important. Seeing her reaction to it, Micah's reaction to it is so good. But there's nothing left. I don't know what to do. Well, you guys thought that you know it was going to be everything you knew.
It was the smoke machine in the bathroom. Yeah, suspicious. I was like, you see the smoke, the steam kind of wafting out. And fair enough. So trapped in this tiny bathroom waiting to come out, doing push-ups and stuff. And the smoke machine is kind of filling up the bathroom and then I took over it and it all wafts out. Yeah, I mean, I worked hard.
Dan really was committed. Like, it was an extreme workout regime and diet regime and everything. And really, and he would get. The other funny thing that happened while we were prepping this movie, they were starting to prep for the John Wick movies, and we worked out this deal where Dan could go use the off hours for Keanu's training. So
Yeah, it was all the John Wick guys. I was working at a facility down near LAX, and a lot of those guys came up. One of them was one of the kids in the bar. And Clayton Barber, who's our trainer on that, incredible, he's like a Taekwondo legend, and he was our stunt coordinator, he was my trainer. He's actually the guy who, in that shot where I slide out from under the bed, the guy, he was under the bed, pushing my feet to get me to slide out. He was with me every step of the way. It was the first time I'd ever really engaged in that kind of thing, and it was intense.
It was well worth it, thank you very much. The movie also, it's most of it is this psychological, female gazy, fun music, so fucking amazing, soundtrack, and then all of a sudden it turns into soldiers like guns, and everything is exploding. I hope you guys were okay in the front. We like to play it loud here. But for a small budget movie, I still don't know how you did that and how you trained and played with so many firearms.
I was trying to remember how we did that. And, I remember some of it. It was really tricky to make this movie on. It was an under $5 million budget. So it was really hard to do. There was a lot of favors, but there was also just a lot of quirks of luck, and like that town just happened to have a Halloween maze. Like, that's not why we were looking at that town, and then they had one, and it was in our script, and we're like, well, I don't know. There was just a lot of stuff that landed our way, So
They also allowed us to actually blow up that cafe.
Yeah.
Really epic day. It's a very sleepy, one street town.
It really is a town is mainly known for being a truck stop with a strip club and fireworks. You can buy fireworks there. That's kind of it.
Wow. And did you have to train and do things for a role like that? Because it does, totally switches gears.
I was a fully paid member of the NA's firing range for the whole time I was training there. I learned how to strip a weapon and fire a weapon properly and stuff. There wasn't a lot of that on Downton Abbey.
I think that Adam, his approach and kind of Dan bought into it, and we all kind of bought into it, was what if we took this low budget movie as seriously as they take the $200 million big action things, and how do you kind of capture that style and spirit, but without all of the bullshit you don't want from those movies?
Yeah, I do remember you saying that on the last one.
Sorry.
I know, it's really, this is an important time to talk and think about that, because, movies like this are not getting made right now, and it's really stupid, and it needs to change, it needs to change quick, because a lot of our spouses and friends need to go back to work. And movies like this were, that serious approach to it, I think, is very very important for our entire art form. I also see a serious approach. I don't know, I'm always surprised when people say that they didn't know it was a comedy, because it is one of the very few comedy genre movies that actually sustains the comedy to the end, including the throwing of the that song that I was like at my prom. But like, how did you not laugh every 5 minutes? Because you're so restrained.
I think part of it is that I think I can't speak for Dan, but for people that don't get it as a comedy, I think people are not used to comedies also being cool.
Yeah.
And I think that this movie, for me, and I'm biased as fuck here, but like, I think it's funny and cool and violent. Like, I don't think it's sort of sacrificed to any of those three things, but I think for some people used to everything they sort of get fed, it's sort of like you kind of get one or the other, and I think they get confused if they get more than one at the same time.
Totally. I love Q&As with you guys. Dan, how did you not lose it every 5 minutes?
Funny, cool movies, I think. I don't know, I think, I do remember laughing a lot with Adam, particularly when it was the kind of, again, it's like the fact that we'd done a cool shot was funny. Like, I don't know how to quite explain it, but it's just like the fact that we sort of pulled off this batshit thing, and Adam's sense of humor throughout is kind of, you know, he's got such a good eye, he's got such a good ear, you know, the sound, the sound is like, I don't remember that, just the sound of David's bag, like, that's a little joke, you know, like, it's just right the way through, and just constantly there was that kind of thing, like the choice to pick up the dog tags with the knife, and just like little touches, we were always just kind of trying to make each other laugh with just like, how funny / cool can we make this and get away with it?
Okay, well, we pulled it off. Amanda in her beautiful Dodgers jacket. Our director of programming, everybody in the salad. Here's the deal. Go out there. Let's have beers because the Dodgers won. I'll end on a note. I'm throwing this up to Lance and to my best friend Doug Jones, who passed away last year. And was with me at the guest when I watched it at that screening. So to Doug, to Lance Reddick, to the fucking Dodgers, and to the